Hey guys, it's Phantom. Stultifernavis came out yesterday, and it's a pretty damn big event. I'd argue it's the biggest event we've gotten so far. But something about this event has stood out in a lot of ways, because I honestly think this is the first time I've noticed anyways that an Arknights level has got so many people struggling to beat it that it's actually trending on Twitter. I of course am talking about the boss of Stultifernavis. It's pretty difficult. It is one of the longest boss fights in Arknights history. The boss actually has 3 separate phases. Technically 4 if you count the first spawn as a phase in of itself, even though it's basically just an original slug. Now, it requires a lot of thought and a lot of planning and a lot of figuring out. So everybody on Twitter is saying. The truth is, a lot of people have been going on and on and on about how you can't brute force it, you have to think about it, you have to plan this and this out, you have to time things properly, and the way that things work is a little bit too difficult for you to be able to just brute force it with your favorite ops. That's wrong, and I'm going to prove it. And just to make my point even further, I'm actually going to turn off all except the first 2 of the little handy upgrades. By the time you're in SN-10, you should have both of these. Set the first one to melee operator healing effectiveness, then the second one to removing Netherseed brand along the travel path. Now, I'm not going to pretend that this is an easy guide because anybody can do it. This is, to prove a point, how to brute force the level. How to use really strong operators to force a win out without having to think and meticulously plan and etc. Honestly, the 2 operators that are most required are 1, you need Kelsey fully upgraded, and then you need one of the berry operators. After that, you need a pretty tanky defender. You can switch out Surtur for a caster of any type that you would want to, but it has to be arts damage. Having an arts damage nuker is essential. You have to have it. On top of that, you also need to have a second arts damage nuker. People sleep on Mostama. They say that she's not good at chunking bosses. She is extremely effective at chunking this boss. And then NTR, you don't have to bring Neural the Radiant Knight, but you do have to bring someone that you can hot drop to do a decent amount of damage. On top of that, you need a guard that has high sustainability. I'm using an E1 level 80 mountain to prove that it doesn't have to be fully upgraded. You need a Sunflower Vanguard in order to get yourself enough DP. And then I'm bringing Spectre the Unchained. You need to have an operator that has a relatively low deployment cost, but can take care of the little Hound Seaborn. And that's all you need. This is how you can brute force it. You can fill in the emptiness. Say you don't have a Spalter, say you don't have a Mudrock, say you don't have an NTR. You have 3 empty slots that you can use to make up for the fact that you don't have that. It's relatively simple. Thankfully, you don't have... There's only one single little point that requires precise timing. So, we'll talk about that when we get to there. First of all, drop your high sustain guard here facing up. He'll take care of the boss. He has to be high sustained because more guys are going to spawn up here, and he has to be able to take care of them. You're at least 2 guard defender, or not defender, but operator there. Sunflower Vanguard down here. It's pretty safe to have them down there. After the hounds are dead, retreat. Kelsey down, bottom left corner. Pop Salik as soon as possible. You have to get Monster right here. Now this is extremely important. If you have Monster right here, as long as he kills the units that come out of this red box before they leave the red box, they do not leave the goop on the ground. A lot of people end up killing them here or here, or have to kill them back here, and the entire arena just gets filled with the goop. If you kill them in this tile, you're fine. And as long as you have the purifier here, you can clean this whole area out the second things start getting rough. Build up, get Mulberry down, up here to keep Mountain alive, and then you want to put your Arts Nuker up here, facing right. Pop Kelsey's ability to get rid of these guys before they can cause too much of a problem. Once this guy reaches here, we pop our Nuker's ability, clear it out. Keep popping your Sunfire Vanguard. Now the reason it has to be an Arts Nuker is once this guy reaches half health, he is going to get a shield that makes him extremely tanky to physical damage. So you have to get arts damage out. Get your second caster nuker in the top right there. Once both of those guys are dead, the biggest important thing, you do not want these sigils to be on the same tile. If they are both on the same tile, the boss will consume both of them. And the boss with both of these buffs will get past your defenses. You will not have enough time in order to get it done. The other thing to do is for a little bit now, if I pause it, for a little bit, it'll take a while for Mountain or whatever guard you have up here to kill this guy. So long as Mulberry or Honeyberry are keeping him from becoming stunned, he can sit here for forever. That's why it has to be a high sustain. You want to stall this monster out for 3 reasons. First, you're going to take your caster or whatever you have up here and retreat it. Second, you're going to clean up the goop. And third, you're going to retreat monster. As soon as you can, you're going to re-put down monster. If you do not retreat monster now, the next wave of enemies will stun him and a bunch of enemies will leak through. You can also put any sort of high damage nuker in the top right to help Mountain deal with the things that spawn there. And then I am going to put Spalter back down right here so that when the boss hits his next phase, the boss will focus Spalter down and Mountain might have enough time to either catch the boss before the boss can get past, or at least keep Mostema or whatever arts nuker you have alive long enough to kill the boss. Because if you do it the way I did, if you can pinpoint time it to get the tanky guy to die right here, the boss will consume this sigil, and you can just kill it easy, no problem. But in the case where you don't have operators lined up for precise damage, you're going to want to kill in this order just to make sure he dies. He is so tanky that honestly it's just more worth it to do this. And the tanky buff really doesn't do anything as long as you have high arts damage down here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The other thing you can do at this point, put a high defensive tank down here, preferably Mudrock, because Mudrock can tank pretty much forever once the boss hits phase 2 after this phase. Make sure all of your operators' abilities are up. Get as much DP as you can. Milk the stall. The boss will not hit phase 2 until this guy dies. Once you hit 99 deployment points, you don't want to get rid of your Sunflower Guard because you're going to be replacing operators for the next little bit. You want Surtur to be back up, you want Monster to be fresh, you want Kelsey to have her ability, and you want your Arts damage dealer to have their ability up. And as close to 99 DP as you possibly can. And then you just let it go through. Pop your nuker's abilities. Pop your healer's ability. Actually, don't pop your healer's ability. Once the boss spawns, pop your Arts damage dealer. The boss dies very fast. And like I said, Mostema does a great job at this. Go ahead and recall whatever you had here. I'm actually going to let her sit a little bit longer to kill this dog. Pop Kelsey's ability. The dog's dead. Nuker back in the top right corner. This wave, just kill it. It doesn't matter. If the boss consumes both sigils, as long as you have one tanky defender down here, you're fine. You're going to do just fine. Both of them are dead. Recall again. Now this part can be a bit annoying. These guys have really high dodge, but Monster can take care of them really easy. I am going to keep Monster up. Boss's next phase spawns. Mostema is most likely going to die. Pop Mulberry's ability now, because that guy is going to do constant AoE shit. Pop another damage dealer just to help down here. As long as you have one tanky defender, they can just tank the boss. And you can kind of slowly drag it through. Reset Monster once again. Keep getting your DP up. You want to be resetting like this. This is the key. This boss is very stallable. And as long as you keep resetting Monster, you will never have anything leak through here, so long as a status healer and a relatively tanky guard are holding this top right corner. I'm going to get Surtur down now so that I can re-top up on my stuff. And then once I'm at 99, I'm just going to pop Spalter's ability, kill him a little bit faster. He has the dodge chance, but the dodge chance really isn't that much of a problem. Once these guys both spawn, you want to nuke them both as fast as you can. You don't want to kill this guy yet. Slow down the timer. Pop Mulberry's ability if you have to. It's okay if they leak through a little bit here. You can actually sweep this up if you want. Stop Shelter before she kills it. Wait for the monster to get to the last step, because you don't want him to die on the same tile. Go ahead and pop monster. Once the guy gets to that last tile, nuke him. Now, the reason you want to do that is these guys' sigil. Being on the goop, making them invisible is annoying, but the biggest problem is if the boss gets this guy's buff, every single attack the boss does will ramp for damage. And the boss getting that damage ramp is pretty much impossible to deal with. And you can see how much leeway there is for error here. I have 4 more of these left over. As long as you clean that, never let these guys spawn, and clean this when and if your guard dies, you're fine. These guys won't be invisible. Your tank can tank them. Your damage dealers can deal with it. I'm actually going to drop most of them back down right here once the boss is a little bit, or the monster is a little bit closer, that they're actually being blocked. Just to finish this guy off. The boss will reach its next phase. Keep getting your DP up if you can. And just kill the boss. Pop that ability as often as possible. Nuke the boss down. Pop anybody you can down here just to catch these guys as they're leaking through. The truth is, the biggest problem a lot of people have with this is these units will walk through your guys if there's goop on the ground. That's why it is so important to keep the goop clean and kill things here with monster. It is arguably the most important aspect of the fight. Once you keep everything clean, as long as you just make sure you stall out until you have enough DP and your guys are reset, it's no problem. Like, there's nothing that the boss can do here. This dodge is annoying, but it's easily ignorable. Plus, Mulberry was back up. I could have put her down there to make sure that mountain never has a problem. It's relatively simple, but in order to brute force it, you do have to have at least Kelsey. If you get the 3rd upgrade of Little Handy and you throw on the 1 more block, it becomes even easier. But a lot of people don't have that because they're going through the levels really quickly. See, the level is brute forceable. It's just, it's a really long level. It's really, really long. And I genuinely enjoyed that. I streamed the entire time, figuring it out and getting it done. This has been an amazing event so far. And we haven't even gotten the EX missions. I can't imagine, if this is how nuts SN-10 is, imagine how nuts it's going to be in the EX missions.